Welcome to SalesChaosTV. My name is Dan Walshman, and I'm here along with my partner Todd Schnick. We're both runners, we're both speakers, we're both authors. We do crazy stuff, but more importantly, we are the hosts here of SalesChaosTV.
That was your best intro ever.
Best intro ever. Save it. We're going to use that again sometime, or probably not, because the next show will come along and we'll forget it. But as you know, the format of the show every week, we bring you a topic about social media, about business. Thought-provoking content. We need your feedback. Leave some comments below. As you know, it's 8 minutes. I'm going to start the clock. And we have a topic for you today that we've been bouncing around internally, which is really this whole idea of questioning your way to social engagement.
Questioning your way to social engagement. Interesting.
Questions. So people have a lot of questions. What we've learned about the web is that people want answers. That's why they come to the web. And specifically, there's been a few sites that are trying to kind of bottle this up. I think the earliest one for me was LinkedIn kind of questions and answers.
LinkedIn questions, okay.
Yeah. And I think
honestly, I have not spent that much time on that.
Okay.
But I think you have, and you've had some success with that.
Well, I years ago, and once again, it feels like I've been on LinkedIn for about 10 years. Probably not. I don't think it's been around that long. But early on, when they first announced Google Answers, questions and answers, I was there and answering some questions and for people. In fact, for several of those, it'll actually allow you to, if you ask the question, to star an answer, and then you get an email back saying you have the best answer in this group. And people would ask some really thought-provoking questions like, what's the best way to do B2B selling or B2C, or I'm in a position where I'm trying to sell one of my competitors is cheaper. What do I do? So different people would offer advice. Now, and if you look at my profile on LinkedIn, you'll see I've got a couple best answers in category. I stopped doing it because I just found that people were kind of gaming the system, and I just thought, here I am taking my time and energy to answer a question that someone really wants an answer to, and 20 other dummies are saying, hey, buy my ebook, and it'll have all the answers for you. And I was like, I just didn't want to be around it, so I backed off it, and I haven't done anything with it since.
I think there's still a lot of value in spending time on LinkedIn questions. Okay. Let's talk for a second though about the whole idea of questioning your way to social engagement. I think, and there's been some websites that have come out since that I think
that's what I was going to say. They made it better. I think there's some sites that made it better.
Let's talk about those. Okay. I'm thinking of Quora and Focus.
Yep. I love Quora for just finding just fast answers to things. It can be
any topic. I mean, not just business.
That's right.
I got a lot of resources in how to improve my podcasting business with what are the best tools to use, what are the best this, what are the best that. I've learned a lot about running. Yeah. And saying, all right, what's the best energy bars to use? I mean, I learned all different kinds of stuff. But in terms of a business collection of just great content, both those sites, Focus and Quora, are great sites. I want to talk about the whole idea, though, what we mean by questioning your way to social engagement. Okay. Is
what's your question there, sir?
Well, this notion of Quora and Focus, and LinkedIn groups, or LinkedIn questions, which is obviously part of LinkedIn. Sure. It's a social network. Yeah. Which means they're supposed to be human beings connecting and communicating. And so what you can do is, I think there's two ways to approach this asking a question to social engagement. Is you can be there's the giver, right? So I have knowledge to share, and so I'm going to look for people asking important questions that I can be. It's not, you don't answer the question by saying, pay me and I'll answer your question. It's be giving me helpful and answer these questions, and the person who asked the question then is happy to have engaged with you, and that there's a new connection there. So someone asked a question, you were helpful by answering it, and now there's a connection, and who knows where that connection can go? It could result in business. So if you're an expert and you have knowledge in a lot of different things, there's people out there asking questions about your expertise. You can be helpful. It's a prospecting strategy. There's 1,000 people out there asking questions that you can help them with.
You're using it more businessy than I am, and I guess this is a business show, so we're talking about. I go there for looking for quick. I know people have asked questions like, "What's the best address book that you've used?" And it's like,
oh, there's tech questions.
You know,
heck yeah! I mean,
or like talk about ultra running as a category. I like, for instance, in Quora, how that you can have in Quora you can have if someone gives you a good answer, I can now follow you, and I can see all your other questions that you've answered, which is really cool because sometimes you'll stick to a specific vertical like running or business or social, and I can see that. Others like Focus, like if you go to Focus's questions and answers, they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of experts, 600 or 700 sales experts, and it's kind of like at a certain point you're like,
it's almost overwhelming.
Wow, how are all these people? How do we have so many experts and yet the economy sucks? I mean, not to be too provocative, but there are some of these thoughts that go through your head. There are other sites too that may not be on Quora that you may want to look into, and then which things like Wikipedia. I know that's not no one's asking questions, but you might have a question, and if you just go to Wikipedia and type in something like address books, you'll get some information about what things that are. Mahalo, that was a pretty big one. Jason Calacanis, one of his projects. He was doing, really neat way. If you have questions you want to answer, I mean, things like even Alpha Wolfram. If you want to do neat scientific questions and answers, it does that. I want to go back to what you said though, because there is this emotional investment. We're both busy people, and so it's like if I answer someone's question, it's going to be thoughtful. It's going to be based off my years of experience.
Well, you better put thoughtful. You shouldn't just answer that.
And so it's like there's this emotional investment. So I think what you said is important. You have to know. We talked about several of these platforms, Focus and LinkedIn groups and Quora and Mahalo, and there's a bunch of different platforms like this that you can contribute to. You can even contribute to Wikipedia if you want. But I think you have to find one that you're comfortable with, and then. I think you were connoting earlier. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You kind of have to stick with it and monitor.
Well, of course you do. Anything with social media,
if you want to get value,
you have to stick with it a long time. The consistent application over time is where you have success. I just want you to understand that you could look at it this way. There are prospects out there saying, I need help. I have a question. I'm struggling with X.
Yeah.
And the success or failure of questioning your way to this engagement is to be listening. Getting your eyes open, your ears open, paying attention, looking for those questions, and then answering them. And the answer, again, I'm going to say it again because to me it's very important. It's not, hey, buy my book to get the answers.
Yeah.
Pay me to get the answers.
Yeah, right.
It's give the answers. It's be helpful. It's be of service.
Or don't even leave a comment at all.
I wouldn't even bother that because then you're just going to become. It's the people on LinkedIn questions that got you all skeezed out was the people that were just selling. Be helpful.
Facebook has
prospects. And then now you have a connection with them. And then you can advance that relationship down the field, and who knows where that relationship may lead. I mean, things like Focus and Cure. When you answer a question, you then have the options to share that. Hey, I just answered a question on, and you can share it on Twitter, on Facebook, and all that different stuff. And that's how that spreads. I learned about Focus because I saw a friend of mine answer a question. I said, "What the heck is he doing?" And that's how I got onto Focus. So
we're almost out of time, but let me talk about the other side. We've been talking a lot about answering questions, but you can also ask great questions. Facebook has Facebook polls. I've seen some people use that. Really cool. Like, what did you think was the best of these 3 articles? Boom, 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 and people vote. LinkedIn has polls, of course, too. When that first came out, I thought that was fun. And you can even pay LinkedIn to share this with everybody and their brother. So another way to do it is to ask great questions. Like in Quora, you could say, what do senior executives think about social media? And then send that to CEOs and say, I'm just looking to get your opinion. Ooh, now you may have access to somebody you've never had access to because you want to get their insights.
There's 2 benefits to that. One is you're making a new connection, which is the whole point. You're questioning the way to social engagement. 2, you're learning stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And which you then can incorporate into your message. And then, we've talked about content creation on this show before. You learn things by asking questions, obviously, which you can then use in terms of putting out content to your audience. So I think we're over our time limit. Interesting subject.
It is.
I think we ought to delve into this a little bit more.
It's a side of that social media we don't think of. We immediately think of Twitter and Facebook. And we're like, okay, I'm social. And it's like, well, wait a minute. What about millions of questions being asked on the web?
You can ask questions on Facebook and Twitter too, but there are sites that are designed to kind of facilitate this relationship building. So I urge you to check out those 3: LinkedIn questions, Cure, and Focus. That wraps this episode. On behalf of Dan Walshman, I'm Todd Schnick. Treat your customers and your prospects like human beings. We'll see you next time on Sales Chaos TV.